In the center of the galaxy, inside the great crystal hall of the Galactic Union, 1,000 alien leaders sat in their tall seats, whispering and laughing among themselves. Their voices echoed through the chamber, mixed with soft music and the hum of flying cameras. Every corner of the room sparkled with gold and blue lights. This was the famous Council Day, when newer civilizations could request a chance to speak, hoping to be taken seriously. Today, it was Earth's turn. A tall creature with green feathers and 3 glowing eyes tapped his long staff on the floor. He was High Speaker Zarnoth, one of the leaders of the Galactic Union. "Next on the schedule," he said with a smile, "is the representative from Earth, a planet still using combustion vehicles and electromagnetic waves." The crowd laughed, softly. Some covered their mouths politely, others didn't bother. To most of them, Earth was a joke, a small planet on the edge of the galaxy, a place with no real power, no grand history, no great inventions. At least, that's what the Union believed. A single human walked into the hall. She was not tall, not armored, not shining with lights like the other delegates. She wore a simple gray uniform with a quiet badge that read, "Earth Delegate, Dr. Elaine Carr." Some aliens laughed louder when they saw her. "Only one human?" someone whispered. "Perhaps the others got lost. They must still be using maps made of paper," joked another. Dr. Carr stood at the speaker's platform, her face calm, her hands at her sides. She looked around the room without fear, even though she was the only human there. The room fell silent, partly from amusement and partly from curiosity. "I thank the Union for this opportunity," she began, her voice clear and steady. "I come not to beg, not to fight, and not to boast. I come to speak truth." "Here we go again," muttered a large creature with metal skin. "These new species always say they have something special." Dr. Carr continued, "Earth may look small. We may seem unimportant. But I ask you, what do you truly know of us? What have you seen other than old broadcasts and filtered images?" "We've seen your wars," shouted someone from the back. "We've seen your broken cities," another added. "We've seen your people arguing about everything, even what food is healthy," laughed a delegate with bright red eyes. Carr nodded slowly. "Yes, you've seen fragments, chaos, mistakes, but you've missed what matters most, and—" "What is that?" asked High Speaker Zarnoth, raising one brow. "You've missed what we do when no one is looking," Carr said softly. "You've missed what humans build in silence." There was a pause. A few aliens stopped smiling. The words were calm, but there was something behind them, something serious. Carr looked up at the council. "For over 100 years, Earth has listened. We've watched your ships pass by. We've studied your technology, your languages, your patterns. And while you laughed, we learned. We learned everything we needed to protect ourselves." A quiet buzz moved through the room. No one was laughing now. "But where is this protection?" Zarnoth asked, his tone still light. "Your fleets? Your armies? Your cloaking devices? You seem quite visible." Carr smiled just a little. "That's the point." And with that, she stepped down from the platform and walked calmly out of the hall. She said nothing more. For a moment, the room was silent. Then the laughter started again, softer this time, more confused than mocking. "She's bluffing," said one alien general. "She's trying to sound mysterious," said another. "Typical primitive behavior," muttered a scientist with blinking eyes. But in a secret chamber far away, deep beneath the oceans of Earth, a screen blinked quietly. Dozens of officers stood watching. "She did it," said Commander Lyle, staring at the screen. "She delivered the message." "Good," replied Admiral Juno, her voice firm. "Now activate MirrorNet Protocol Phase 1. Dozens of silent ships began moving in space. They had no lights, no signals, and no visible engines. They didn't appear on scanners. They made no sound. These were the ships of Project Obsidian Ghost, Earth's most advanced creation. Each one had been built in secret, not in shipyards, but in underground bunkers and deep-sea labs. Each one was designed to be invisible to the galaxy, and now they were on the move. Back in the Galactic Union, High Speaker Zarnoth returned to his private quarters. He stared at a glowing map of the galaxy and tapped a small icon labeled Earth. The planet's data appeared. Still using basic tech, the display read, "No known space fleet." He frowned. Something didn't feel right. That human's eyes, they were not the eyes of someone bluffing. They were the eyes of someone waiting. Zarnoth opened a file with recordings from the last 3 Earth surveillance missions. One had stopped working near Pluto, another lost power without warning, the third sent back static. He rubbed his forehead. "Coincidence," he whispered, but the words didn't comfort him. In a nearby system, the Empire's entertainment channels were showing a cartoon of humans building a spaceship out of wood and falling into a black hole. Laughter filled homes and marketplaces, but in the background, strange things were beginning to happen. A cargo ship vanished on its way to the Thalian belt. A scout vessel reported seeing a shadow that blocked stars, then lost contact. A mining station near a quiet moon stopped, sending updates. The Empire noticed, but not enough to worry. Not yet. Meanwhile, Dr. Carr returned to Earth. Her ship was small but fast. She landed without anyone knowing. No parades, no announcements. She stepped into a quiet room deep underground. Screens lined the walls. Officers saluted her. "Phase 1 complete," she said. "Yes, Admiral," replied a young officer. "The fleet is in position. No detection, no losses." She nodded. "Good. Let the galaxy laugh. Let them think we are weak. When the time is right, we'll show them." She looked up at a star map and smiled. The laughter didn't stop after Earth's representative left the Grand Hall. Galactic news channels quickly turned Dr. Elaine Carr's calm warning into a joke. Short videos and memes were made in every known language. Some showed humans throwing stones at spaceships. Others showed them trying to fix warp engines with duct tape. The Empire's most popular news show aired a segment called Monkey Planet Speaks, where alien comedians wore rubber human masks and pretended to give speeches. They mocked Earth's great secrets and laughed at the idea that such a young planet could ever defend itself. High Admiral Zell Rune, leader of the Western Imperial Navy, watched the program with a grin. "They actually think they can scare us?" he said, sipping his bright green drink. "It's time we teach these humans a lesson in reality." He gave an order that would change everything. "Send a patrol fleet near Earth. Nothing serious. Just fly by. Let them see who rules the stars." The Empire's fleet was not just powerful, it was massive. Giant warships, glowing with blue, lights and shaped like flying daggers, were sent to Earth's outer solar system. They didn't fire any weapons. They didn't speak to Earth. They simply passed by slowly, showing their size and strength. They called it Operation Gentle Reminder. To the Empire, it was just a message. You are small. We are watching. What they didn't know was that someone was watching them too. Far beyond Neptune, in a patch of deep black space, a ship named HSS Whisper 9 floated in complete silence. It didn't have lights or heat signatures. It didn't reflect radar or pulses. It was invisible to the eye and invisible to sensors. On board, Captain Maya Lee and her crew were tracking the Imperial Patrol. "We have 5 ships entering zone." "Echo 4, reported Ensign Rajan, his voice calm. "Pattern suggests a scan loop, not an attack." "Hold shadow range," Captain Lee said. "No contact. Keep observing." The Whisper 9 was part of Earth's secret Obsidian Ghost program, a fleet of 27 stealth ships built in hidden bases and launched in silence. These ships had followed Imperial ships before, but never this close. "They're playing games." Maya said softly. They think we're still in the trees. The crew chuckled quietly, but their eyes stayed sharp on the screens. Every heat trail, every energy pulse, every strange pattern was recorded and analyzed. Data was sent back to Earth in compressed flashes using dark particles, undetectable by normal tech. Back on Earth, Dr. Carr entered the operations bunker, where glowing screens covered the walls. Maps, ship paths, enemy logs, and secret codes floated in the air. Whisper 9 confirms fleet is scanning, reported Commander Lyle. Still no sign they see us. Carr nodded. And MirrorNet? Fully active, replied another officer. Our pulse web covers 9 sectors now. Nothing. Leaves the zone without us knowing. The MirrorNet was Earth's most guarded secret. It was a net of invisible sensors spread across deep space, built from hundreds of small probes that looked like space rocks. These probes reflected signals in strange ways, like mirrors in a maze, so Earth could track movement in real time, without being seen. Carr studied the map. Sooner or later, they'll push harder. And when they do, asked Admiral Juno, walking into the room. Carr didn't smile. We'll answer. Meanwhile, on the Empire's lead ship, the ISS Varkalon, Admiral Zelrun was reviewing sensor data. A young officer stepped forward. Sir, he said hesitantly, one of our drone scouts vanished. Vanished? Zelrun narrowed. His eyes. Explain. It went past Neptune into an empty field. 5 seconds later, no signal. No damage. Just nothing. Zelrun waved his hand. Technical failure. Replace it. But, sir, the officer said, the same happened to 2 other drones last month, in different regions. The Admiral stood up. You think these humans did that? The officer didn't answer. Zelrun scoffed. Their best ship can barely leave orbit. Get me fresh scans. Use wide sweep pulses. I want everything in that sector visible. But when the scans returned, they showed nothing. No ships, no activity. Just black, quiet space. Across the stars, something unusual was happening. Imperial supply stations began reporting delays. Ships missed their scheduled stops. Messages were scrambled. The reports were small, but they were growing. On the outer rim, an Imperial cruiser passed near a small moon and detected a strange shadow, a shadow that didn't match any object. Is that a rock? The pilot asked. Then it was gone. The data disappeared too. The cruiser sent one final image, a blurred frame of something sharp and dark, and then silence. Back in the Empire's capital, young Officer Kavix was reviewing the strange reports. He wasn't high-ranking, and most didn't take him seriously. But he had a habit of seeing patterns where others saw accidents. He pulled up footage from Earth's past, old TV shows, war documentaries, and Navy recordings. He watched submarines disappear under oceans. He studied how humans fought using silence and patience. Submarine tactics, he whispered, but in space. Kavix stared at the reports again. Ships disappearing, stations going dark, unexplained shadows. He made a private report to his superior. It was ignored. He made another, this time marked urgent, also ignored. So he sent it to the highest channel he could. A message marked Class Red Alert to the Imperial Command. It read, Earth may not have visible weapons, but something is there. Something we can't see. I believe they have mastered. Stealth beyond our understanding. We must reconsider our approach. The message was delayed, then lost. No response came. On Earth, the Obsidian Ghost team gathered for a midnight briefing. The room was quiet. Commander Lyle stood beside a screen, showing a map with blinking red dots, ships that had gone missing. We've shadowed them long enough, he said. Should we move to Phase 2? Dr. Carr looked at the screen. Not yet. Let them keep laughing. Captain Maya, from Whisper 9, sent her own report. They're watching harder now. Stronger. Scans. But they still can't see us. Admiral Juno leaned forward. They're looking for a knife in the dark. They don't know we are the dark. Everyone nodded. Outside, far in deep space, Earth's fleet began shifting positions. Ships moved in silence. They passed planets, drifted through asteroid fields, and hovered near enemy bases without ever being noticed. The Obsidian Ghost was not designed for war. It was designed for perfect silence, to observe, to wait, and to strike only when needed. But now, Earth had seen enough, and the time to wait was ending. Far away from Earth, deep in a quiet part of the galaxy, strange things were happening. The Galactic Empire had always been proud of its technology. Its sensors were the most advanced in known space. Its ships were fast and powerful. Its communications were instant and clear, even across light years. For centuries, they had believed that no one could hide from their eyes. But now, something was wrong. Across many systems, small Imperial scout ships were disappearing. Not in battles, not near. Black holes or dangerous planets. They were simply gone. Vanished without a sound. No distress calls. No signs of attack. Just silence. At first, these incidents were ignored. The Empire blamed system failures or space weather. But then, more ships vanished. Then a supply station stopped answering. Then 2 listening posts lost power at the same time. Still, the high commanders didn't panic. They thought these were technical problems. After all, Earth, who they suspected, was far too young to cause trouble. But one officer was not so sure. His name was Cavix, and he was part of the Empire's intelligence branch. He wasn't powerful, and many higher officials didn't take him seriously. But Cavix was patient. He had spent years studying the behavior of other species, especially humans. Now he sat in his small office looking at multiple screens. Each one showed a map of different space sectors. Red marks blinked where contact had been lost. One screen showed a scout ship's last transmission, just a quick flash of static and a brief dark shape that passed by the stars. Cavix leaned forward. He paused the image, zoomed in. There was nothing clear, but the shape, it wasn't natural. It was sharp, smooth, and seemed to move with purpose. He opened a second file, old Earth documentaries from centuries ago, submarine warfare, stealth planes, cloaked units that moved through jungles, deserts, and oceans, always silent, always unseen. A thought formed in his mind. It was bold, maybe too bold, but it made sense. He spoke softly to himself. They're not weak. They're hiding. Watching. He sent another report to High Command. Subject: possibility of advanced stealth tactics by Earth. Request immediate review. The reply came 2 hours later. Dismissed. Focus on confirmed threats. Cavix sighed. He had sent 5 reports, all ignored. But he didn't give up. He collected more data. He spoke with officers from far sectors. Some agreed something was wrong, but none dared speak up. In the shadows of space, they were being watched, and no one knew by what. On Earth, inside a dark control room deep under the ocean, Admiral Juno stood before a large digital map. Around her, officers moved quickly but quietly, updating data and analyzing enemy movements. The mirror net was fully active now. Thousands of hidden sensors, disguised as rocks and debris, floated across the stars. They reflected energy waves in strange ways, making it impossible for normal scanners to detect anything behind them. But Earth could see everything. And what they saw was this. The Empire was confused. "They're scanning harder," said Commander Lyle. "But they still can't find us." Admiral Juno nodded. "They still don't believe we have stealth." Dr. Carr entered the room. Her expression was serious but calm. "They will soon," she said. And when they do, they'll panic. Juno agreed. Shall we prepare phase 2? Carr took a deep breath. Yes. Begin soft disruption missions. No attacks, just confusion. Across space, silent ships from the Obsidian Ghost Fleet began new operations. These ships didn't fire weapons. They didn't speak. They simply interfered, just enough to make the Empire nervous. On one world, a power grid suddenly shut down for 3 minutes. Engineers found no cause. On a military satellite, the screen began showing an old Earth image, a mountain range, completely peaceful. Then the satellite went dark. A cargo vessel turned to find its guidance system flipped. It had been traveling toward a supply base. Now it was headed straight into a gravity well. The pilot pulled away just in time, but the system never explained why it changed. It wasn't war. It wasn't loud. It was a whisper in the void, a whisper saying, "We are here." Back at the Galactic Empire's capital, Admiral Zell Rune stood before a large meeting of high-ranking officials. The room was filled with floating maps and blinking lights. "Enough is enough," he said loudly. "We are losing control." Few nodded in agreement. Others looked worried. "Someone is messing with us," he continued. "Our systems are failing, our ships are disappearing, I don't care what anyone says, it's not random, it's not nature, someone is behind this." "And you believe it's Earth?" one general asked, raising a thick brow. Zell Rune frowned. "I believe we should stop underestimating them." He turned to a large screen and played a video from Earth's council speech, Dr. Carr's calm words echoing again. "You've missed what humans build in silence," she had said. For a few seconds, no one spoke. Then another admiral stood. "So what do you suggest?" "A response," Zell Rune said. "We send a full strike force near Earth's moon. We'll let them see our power. If they dare play games, we'll end it before it begins." The vote passed. Barely. 10 ships. Were prepared. Big ones. Fully armed. Fast. They launched within hours. Captain Maya Lee, on board Whisper 9, received the alert. "Large Imperial force approaching Earth perimeter," she nodded. "Shadow them. Report every move. Don't engage." "Copy," said her officer. "We'll track them the whole way." Back on Earth, Carr, Juno, and Lyle watched the red dots move on the screen. Carr's face was calm. "They're testing us. This is not the full attack yet." "They want to scare us," Juno said. "They're hoping we blink," added Lyle. Carr smiled slightly. "Let's not blink." She turned to the comms officer. "Send a signal. 1 second only, then shut down all beams." "Message?" the officer asked. Carr spoke clearly. "You taught us to hide. You made us adapt. Now we respond." The message flew through a dark beam. It would only be received by the enemy fleet, just for 1 second. But it was enough. On board the Empire's lead ship, the message came through. Zell Rune stared at it. "What does it mean?" an officer asked. Before he could answer, every ship in the fleet lost power for exactly 9.3 seconds. When the lights came back on, all the navigation data was scrambled. Some ships were turned in the wrong direction. Others had their maps flipped. Upside down. Panic spread. But the scariest part? A small symbol had appeared on every ship's main screen, a glowing human eye. Then it faded. No damage, no attacks. Just a message. "We are watching." Back in the Empire's capital, alarms rang. Officials rushed to meetings. Kavix was called in for a special hearing. "You were right," a general told him. "Tell us everything you know." Kavix took a deep breath. "It's not just stealth," he said. "It's discipline. It's planning. They've been watching us for years, and we didn't see it. They've turned the shadows into a weapon." The general asked quietly. "So what do we do?" Kavix didn't smile. "We listen. We learn. Just like they did." In the dark silence of space, Earth's stealth fleet remained unseen. Dozens of ghost ships drifted across the stars, near the Empire's most important systems. No one could find them. No one could track them. But they were there, waiting, watching. The Galactic Empire had always believed it was the most powerful force in the galaxy. Its ships flew through space like kings. Its technology could read the thoughts of planets. Its fleets had crushed rebellions and ended wars before they began. But now, the Empire was nervous. Something unseen was haunting their space. Ships were disappearing, stations were failing, fleets were being watched by ghosts, and Earth, once considered a joke, was at the center of it all. Inside the Empire's high command tower, deep in the capital city of Zarin Prime, Admiral Zelrun stood before the Grand Council. Behind him, a giant screen showed dozens of missing ships marked in red. "This is not an accident," Zelrun said. "This is not a storm. This is a warning. Earth has hidden its strength for years, maybe longer, and now their fleet is active." Some council members shifted in their seats. Others still didn't want to believe. "But Admiral," said a soft-voiced elder named Selen, "how could a planet like Earth do this? Their ships are not on our records. Their tech is far behind. Their people are not even fully united." "They were smart," Zelrun replied. "They didn't try to match us ship for ship. They didn't show off power. They built silence. They built shadows." Councillor Dravis leaned forward. "Are you saying they are here, in our own systems?" Zelrun nodded. "Yes, I believe. They're close, too close." Gasps moved through the room, but before panic could grow, an alarm rang out. A deep red light filled the chamber. An officer rushed in. "We've just lost contact with Outpost K9 and Defense Platform Zeron. Both went dark within the same hour." "Enemy fire?" someone asked. The officer shook his head. "No explosions, no signals, just silence." Zelrun clenched. His jaw. "They're not attacking. They're showing us they can." The council fell into silence. For the first time in centuries, the Empire was facing an enemy it couldn't see and couldn't stop. Back on Earth, deep beneath the Arctic ice, a massive command chamber glowed with soft blue lights. Screens showed live updates from across the galaxy. Dr. Elaine Carr stood at the center, her hands behind her back. She looked calm, focused. Beside her, Admiral Juno reviewed the latest data. 2 more Imperial bases disabled, no detection, no trace. Commander Lyle joined them. "And the best part? They still think we haven't fully acted." Carr nodded. "Good. Let them wonder. That's more powerful than any weapon." The stealth fleet, Obsidian Ghost, was still in motion. It had not fired a single shot. But already, the Empire was cracking. They weren't at war, not yet, but they were in control of fear. "Phase 3, Carr said. "Begin strategic decloaks." Juno raised an eyebrow. "You're sure?" "They need to see us," Carr said. "Just enough. Just for a moment." Across the galaxy, strange events began to happen. On the planet Dralith, an Imperial research base looked up one morning to find a huge black shape hovering silently in the sky. It was a human dreadnought. Sleek, dark, no lights, no sound. The base went on full alert, but the ship didn't move. It simply hovered for 3 minutes, then disappeared. No shots, no messages, just presence. On Station Belron, workers found every clock set back exactly 7 minutes. All files were untouched, except one, a small video left on the main screen. It showed Earth, green fields, blue oceans, children laughing, no words, then static. On the Empire's military moon Zexor 4, the defense towers turned toward each other for 10 seconds. They didn't fire. They simply moved, as if someone had taken control. Then they returned to normal. The message was clear. You are not safe from us, but we mean no harm, unless you force it. Officer Kavix stood in front of the Emperor's private board. He had been called to explain what was happening. Earth is using fear as a tool, he said. "They are not attacking. They are warning. Their fleet could destroy much more, but they are choosing not to." "And why?" the Emperor asked, his voice slow. Kavik spoke carefully. "Because they are patient, and because they remember when we laughed at them." The room was still. Kavix walked to the screen and showed Earth's old council speech again. The part where Dr. Carr said, "You've missed what we build in silence." "They were never weak," Kavix said. "They were simply quiet." The Emperor leaned back. "What do they want?" "They want peace," Kavix said. "But on their terms." A long silence followed. Then the Emperor gave an order. "Open a channel. To Earth, to Dr. Carr." In Earth's command chamber, a beep echoed through the room. Carr looked at the screen. "Incoming message," said the communications officer. "It's from the Emperor." Carr paused, then nodded. "Accept it." The image of the Emperor appeared. His eyes were sharp, his face unreadable. "Dr. Carr," he said, "we are impressed, and we are concerned." Carr nodded politely. "Understandable." The Emperor did not waste time. "You have made your point. The Empire has seen your ships, your silence, your power. But I ask you directly, what does Earth want?" Carr's voice was calm. "Respect, freedom, and safety." The Emperor studied her. "You have it. Earth will no longer be mocked, no longer be watched. We will treat your people as equals." Carr didn't smile. "And in return, we offer the same." A pause. Then the Emperor said softly, "I never believed humans could do this." Carr answered, "That's because you were looking for noise, and we became the silence." 3 days later, the Galactic Union held another council meeting. This time, Earth's seat was full. Dr. Carr entered the grand hall. No laughter followed. No whispers. Only silence. She took her place. Her voice was steady. "Earth does not seek war, but we will never be laughed at again." We watched, we learned, and when the galaxy was ready, we spoke without shouting. We moved, without being seen. We acted only when needed. The chamber remained quiet, not out of fear, but out of respect. Carr looked around the room. "This is the age of listening," she said, "and Earth is no longer silent." In the stars, the Obsidian Ghost Fleet slowly moved back to hidden positions. The galaxy was now aware of their presence, but Earth's mission was complete. They didn't win by fire, they won by waiting, by learning, by choosing silence over noise. And the Empire would never forget the moment they realized. The stars were quiet now. After months of fear, confusion, and silent visits from invisible ships, the Galactic Empire had finally accepted the truth. Earth was no longer a weak, ignored planet. It had risen, not through war or loud speeches, but through patience, planning, and precision. In the deep corners of the galaxy, stories about humans were spreading. Not the old jokes about primitive monkeys with metal sticks, but new tales. Stories whispered in respect and even fear. Children on distant planets now played games called Find the Ghost Ship and drew pictures of Earth's silent dreadnoughts in school. Scholars began studying human tactics. Military leaders held private meetings just to understand how Earth's stealth systems worked, even though they had no way to copy them. But Earth wasn't looking to scare the galaxy forever. They had made their point. And now it was time for something more important. Peace. Inside a wide glass hall on Nabari Prime, the new Council of Allied Worlds gathered. This meeting was different from the old ones. There were no jokes, no side comments, no eye rolls when Earth's name came up. The room was filled with attention and care. Dr. Elaine Carr walked through the long aisle as every delegate stood. She didn't wear a cape or a shining medal, just her simple gray uniform with the Earth badge. As she reached the center podium, she took a breath and spoke in her calm, steady voice. "Thank you for standing today," she said. "But I ask that you sit, so we may speak as equals." The delegates slowly sat down. They were listening. Carr continued, "When I first came to speak before this council, I was alone. I was laughed at, but I didn't leave angry. I left focused." She looked around the room. "You believed Earth was behind, that we were slow, loud, lost in our own problems. And in some ways you were right. But while you looked at what we used to be, you missed what we were becoming." A soft murmur moved through the room. "We did not build fleets to conquer. We built shadows to survive. Because we knew one day we would need to protect ourselves, not with power, but with understanding." She paused. "The Empire saw us as a small world, but now they see us for what we truly are: watchers, listeners, builders of silence, and when needed, defenders of peace." The crowd was still. Even the Emperor, sitting among the delegates now, showed a rare nod of respect. Carr smiled just a little. "So now, we don't come asking for approval. We come offering something greater: unity." She pressed a small device, and a star map appeared above her. "Earth has built a network, not just of stealth, but of support. An invisible web of protection. Any planet, large or small, rich or poor, who joins this new alliance will be watched over, not with fear, but with care." Many delegates looked at each other, surprised. "This is not a weapon," Carr explained. "This is a promise that no voice will be ignored again, that no world will be left alone." The representatives from weaker planets, the ones who had been laughed at before Earth, began to smile. Carr finished her speech with one simple sentence: "We rose from being mocked. Now we rise to help others rise with us." The room stood in applause, not out of fear, but out of admiration. On the other side of the galaxy, in the dark vacuum of space, the Obsidian Ghost Fleet slowly powered down. The mission was over. Captain Maya Lee stood aboard the Whisper 9, watching the final set of cloaked ships disappear into Earth's command bay, buried beneath the southern oceans. Her officer turned to her. "Strange, isn't it? We were everywhere, and yet no one ever really saw us." Maya smiled. "That's what made it powerful." It wasn't about being seen. It was about being ready. Back on Earth, the control rooms were shutting down alert systems. The mirror net would stay active, but in Guardian mode now, not battle readiness. Admiral Juno met with Commander Lyle for a quiet debrief. "We did it," Juno said. "And we never fired a single shot." Lyle nodded. "It's strange, though. All those years of hiding, training, planning, and it ended with a conversation." Juno smiled. "That was always the goal." Dr. Carr soon joined them. She looked tired but peaceful. "They've accepted the alliance," she said. "Even the planets who once mocked us." "Are we ready to lead it?" Juno asked. Carr looked at the blue globe spinning slowly on the holographic display. "We're not perfect," she said. "But we've learned the most important lesson of all." She paused. "Strength isn't about making noise. It's about knowing when to stay silent and when to finally speak." Months later, the galaxy looked different. New routes were open for trade, protected by invisible watchers. Old enemies began to talk again, knowing Earth's eyes were in the shadows, and the word human no longer meant weak or wild. It meant something else now, something that made others sit up straighter and listen closer. It meant quiet power. It meant hidden strength. It meant hope. On a small hill in a quiet part of Earth, Dr. Carr stood alone. She looked up at the stars. She remembered her first time standing in the Galactic hall, surrounded by laughter, and she remembered the silence that followed. A voice came from behind her. It was Admiral Juno. Thinking about the past? She asked. Carr nodded. A little, but mostly, I'm thinking about who's watching us now. Juno tilted her head. What do you mean? Carr smiled softly. Somewhere out there, someone else is doing what we did. Watching, listening, waiting, maybe even planning. Juno crossed her arms. Should we be worried? Carr shook her head. No, she said. We should be ready, and we should be kind. Together, they looked at the stars. A sky full of silence, full of stories, full of unseen paths. The galaxy had learned not to laugh at Earth, and Earth had learned to lead without shouting. Because sometimes the strongest message is sent without a sound. The end.